The House of Windsor, fortified by tradition, steeped in secrets, and perpetually teetering on the precipice of scandal. We think we know them, these figures who grace magazine covers and wave from gilded balconies, but behind the carefully orchestrated photo ops and the platitudes about duty, a viper's nest of ambition and resentment thrives. And in the spring of 2025, that nest was about to hatch something truly venomous. The scene, Windsor Castle, March. The air, still clinging to the chill of winter, carries the faintest promise of spring. Inside, a celebratory dinner is underway. Princess Kate, radiant if still a touch fragile, is back. Back from the brutal battlefield of cancer treatment, her reappearance is a victory, a symbol of hope not just for the royal family, but for the entire nation. The press has been relentless in its praise. Kate is back, stronger than ever, a future queen for the ages. But behind the forced smiles and polite clinking of silverware, an insidious plot is unfolding. Prince William, ever watchful, can sense it. The intimate gathering includes King Charles III, still visibly weakened by his own health struggles, and Queen Camilla, a figure whose very presence in the royal family remains a point of contention for many. The atmosphere, initially warm, is about to be shattered. William's phone vibrates, a discreet message from his aide Marcus. Attached is a screenshot from a private palace staff chat, the kind meant for sensitive internal communications. The message is anonymous, a digital ghost slipping through the cracks, but its content is explosive. Princess Kate, it alleges, secretly gave birth to a fourth child during her cancer treatment. A daughter born at a private hospital. Attached is what appears to be a birth certificate, complete with dates, doctor's name, and hospital code, all chillingly matching Kate's medical schedule. The message vanishes as quickly as it appeared, scrubbed from the system, but the damage is done. William's mind races. How could this be? He witnessed firsthand the devastating effects of chemotherapy on Kate. The nausea, the exhaustion, the sheer physical toll. There was no pregnancy. There couldn't have been. This isn't some random tabloid rumor. This is a calculated attack, orchestrated by someone with intimate knowledge of the royal schedule, someone with the power to fabricate documents and plant stories within the palace walls, someone, perhaps, sitting at the very table with him. His gaze drifts to Camilla. She's sipping her wine, her expression unreadable. But then, a fleeting smile, almost imperceptible, flickers across her lips. A smile not of joy, but of satisfaction. A smile that speaks of secrets savored and victories achieved. A chill runs down William's spine. Camilla, the woman who was once his father's mistress, the woman who was blamed by many for the breakdown of Charles's marriage to Diana, the woman who clawed her way to the throne. Is she capable of this? Of fabricating a child to smear Kate's reputation? He remembers the subtle digs, the veiled insults, the barely disguised envy in Camilla's eyes whenever Kate, the beloved icon, received yet another round of public adoration. Camilla, forever in Diana's shadow, now overshadowed by Kate's effortless grace and popularity. Could jealousy be the driving force behind this malicious scheme? The gears in William's mind begin to turn. He knows the history of the royal family, the backstabbing, the betrayals, the ruthless power plays that have shaped its destiny for centuries. Diana was smeared, her reputation tarnished by whispers and lies. Is history about to repeat itself with Kate? He forces himself to remain calm, engaging in polite conversation, all the while his eyes fixed on Camilla. He asks about her health, carefully observing her reaction. A slight hesitation, a quick blink. She's hiding something, he can feel it in his gut. That night, sleep eludes him, he lies beside Kate, listening to her steady breathing, his mind consumed by suspicion and anger. He replays the events of the evening, analyzing every detail, every gesture, the birth certificate, the anonymous message, Camilla's smile. He clenches his fists, vowing to uncover the truth, to protect his wife from this insidious attack. He knows that this is just the beginning, the first salvo in a war that could tear the royal family apart, and he's determined to win. Sunlight, diluted by the heavy drapes, barely penetrates the windows of Kensington Palace. William sits hunched over a table littered with documents, the air thick with unspoken anxieties, the weight of the crown, the legacy of his mother, and now this. It's a crushing burden for any man to bear. Marcus, he says, his voice barely a whisper. That hospital, Sariri, I need everything. Patient records, staff lists, financial transactions. Dig deep. Marcus, ever the loyal soldier, nods grimly. It's already underway, sir, but the Queen's office has been thorough. Access is limited. Thorough indeed. Camilla was always 3 steps ahead, anticipating every move, blocking every avenue. It was a chess game, and she was playing with a ruthlessness that bordered on madness. The birth certificate, William continues, his finger tracing the forged signature. Farrington, find him, see what he knows, or what he's been paid to forget. The name hung in the air, a poisonous seed planted in the fertile ground of royal intrigue. Dr. Harrington, a respected physician, now potentially a pawn in Camilla's twisted game. William remembers Kate's face, the raw vulnerability in her eyes as she battled cancer. The image fuels his anger, hardening his resolve. He would not let this woman, this viper, destroy his wife, his family, his future. That afternoon, under the guise of a routine security inspection, William and Marcus arrive at Sariri Hospital. The pristine hallways, the hushed tones, the air of sterile efficiency, it all feels like a stage set designed to conceal the darkness lurking beneath. Dr. Harrington greets them with a nervous smile, his eyes darting nervously. "Your Royal Highness," he stammers, "a great honor. But I must remind you, patient confidentiality." "Confidentiality is paramount, doctor," William interrupts, his voice cold and unwavering. "But so is national security. And when a forged birth certificate bearing my wife's name surfaces, alleging a secret birth during her cancer treatment, I consider that a matter of grave importance." Harrington pales, sweat beading on his forehead. He knows. He knows exactly what's happening. "We require access to all records pertaining to Princess Kate," William continues, his gaze unwavering. The doctor hesitates, his internal conflict palpable. "Sir, I have received specific instructions from the Queen's office, a confidentiality order." The pieces fall into place with a sickening thud. Camilla had anticipated this, had preemptively silenced anyone who might reveal the truth. "The Queen's office?" William's voice is dangerously low. "When was this order issued?" "3 days ago, sir," Harrington whispers, his eyes pleading for understanding. They were adamant. No information, under any circumstances. 3 days ago, the day after the anonymous message surfaced, the day Camilla's plan went into full swing. William exchanges a knowing glance with Marcus. The trap has been sprung. "Thank you, doctor," William says, his voice deceptively calm. "You have been most helpful." As they leave the hospital, William's anger boils over. He slams his fist against the car seat, the leather groaning under the impact. "She's behind it, Marcus," he seethes. "Camilla is pulling all the strings." The realization is both infuriating and terrifying. Camilla was not just a jealous queen, she was a master manipulator willing to stoop to any level to protect her power. "We need proof, sir," Marcus says, his voice measured. "Something concrete, something undeniable." William stares out the window, his mind racing. Proof, that was the key. But how to obtain it when Camilla controlled every access point, every source of information? A dangerous idea forms in his mind, a desperate gamble that could either expose Camilla's treachery or destroy him in the process. "I want a recording device planted in Camilla's private room at Windsor," he says, his voice barely audible. Marcus' eyes widen in disbelief. "Sir, that's treason." "I know the risk, Marcus," William replies, his voice firm. "But I see no other way. I need to know what she's planning. I need to know who she's working with. And I need to protect Kate no matter the cost." The decision is made. A line has been crossed. The war has begun in earnest. That night, under the cloak of palace shadows, Marcus executes the plan. The device, no bigger than a thumbnail, is nestled beneath Camilla's vanity, a silent sentinel waiting to capture the Queen's darkest secrets. The following morning, William sits in a makeshift command center, a bolted office, soundproofed as best as possible. Headphones on, heart pounding, he presses play. Static crackles, then a voice. Camilla's, low, conspiratorial. "Ensure the obstetrician stays silent. The money's been transferred, right?" A male voice, unfamiliar. "Yes, ma'am, everything's in order." The blood drains from William's face. Obstetrician. Paid silence. This wasn't just rumor mongering. This was a meticulously crafted conspiracy. He shuts off the recording, nausea rising in his throat. Ketelin had not only fabricated the birth of a child, but had actively silenced those who could expose her lie. The depth of her depravity was staggering. Later, he finds Kate in the nursery, playing with little Louie. She looks up, her smile tentative. "You seem troubled, Will." He kneels, taking her hand. "I'm handling it, my love, I promise." But the guilt eats at him. He's protecting her, yes, but at what cost? The monarchy is built on secrets, on carefully constructed illusions. Exposing Camilla would shatter that illusion, perhaps irrevocably, but allowing the lie to fester would be a betrayal of everything he stood for. Marcus identifies the male voice on the recording as Victor, a tech expert with a shadowy reputation, a man who specializes in making things disappear or appear for the right price. The next piece of the puzzle falls into place when William learns of a large sum of money transferred to an offshore account linked to Margaret Fowler, a retired nurse who once worked at Surrey Hospital. Later, Fowler posts a tearful confession on social media, claiming to have assisted in the secret delivery of Kate's baby. The post goes viral, fueling the firestorm of speculation. Camilla is escalating. She's turning the screws, tightening the noose around Kate's reputation. William knows he has to act, and fast. At a closed-door meeting at Windsor, Charles, looking increasingly frail, pleads for unity. "This rumor could destroy everything," he says, his voice barely a whisper. Camilla, ever the picture of composure, suggests a public health check for Kate. "It's the only way to prove her innocence," she says, her eyes locking with William's. "It's a trap. Agree, and Camilla will manipulate the results. Refuse, and they'll be seen as guilty." "We'll do a public check," William says, his voice calm but firm, "but by an independent doctor unrelated to the Queen's office." Camilla's smile tightens. She knows he suspects her. The game is on. Back at Kensington Palace, William gathers Marcus and Sophie, his private secretary, a brilliant strategist with nerves of steel. "We need to bait the trap," he says. "I want a fake hospital record created detailing prenatal checkups. Planted in my office somewhere easily accessible. Let's see who takes the bait." The following morning, the fake record is gone. Security footage confirms it. Clara, Camilla's personal maid, slipped into William's office at dawn. The news tightens further. Clara is Camilla's right hand. The connection is undeniable. William tells Kate it's Camilla, he says, his voice filled with a mixture of anger and sorrow. "She's behind it all." Kate's face crumples. "Why, Will? Why would she do this?" "Power, Kate," he says, holding her close. "She's afraid. Afraid of you." He vows to protect her, no matter the cost. But he knows that exposing Camilla will unleash a storm that could engulf them all. He plans a counterstrike, a public appearance by Kate, a direct confrontation with the rumor, but he also prepares to release the evidence of Camilla's treachery. It's a gamble, a high-stakes move that could either save the monarchy or destroy it. The stage is set. The players are in place. The world is watching, and the House of Windsor is about to face its greatest crisis yet.